Da-na-na-na. Good evening, everybody. It's kind of weird. No one said anything in the chat yet, so it feels like I'm talking to myself. Can you let me know? Can you hear me? Okay. Here we come. Hello, one man. Hello, lovely. 144. Can you hear me? Okay. Is there any feedback? Hiya, Tony. So I'm just going to jump into it. Hi, Typical Movie. We've got a movie for you. So, hello, Ian. As many of you know, I'm Chris THRALL, former Royal Marine. I now run the Bought the T-Shirt podcast. Hello, Alice in California. Tonight, I just wanted to get online really and have a chat with you good team members. It's been an up and down couple of weeks, as many of you will know, because I've just done my 200-mile ultramarathon for a veterans charity to raise awareness of veterans' mental health. So 5 days running over Christmas to run 200 miles. It's kind of thrown everything up everything up in the air. As many of you know, I'm pretty much a one-man band here with a few good people helping me out here and there. But trying to run 200 miles and run a YouTube channel, yeah, that's not as challenging as the endurance course, but thereabouts. Update on my knee. Yeah, well, update on all my injuries. Thank you, Chris. So what did I get? First off, my ankle went. Hello, Chris, member of my One Life team. Scout, thank you. Yeah, first of all, my ankle went after the first marathon. I had really bad Achilles pain in my left ankle, which just grew to encapsulate like the whole of my ankle. So that was after one marathon, and we had 7 left to run. After the second marathon, the meniscus tear that I've got in my right knee, well, I've got them in both knees, but I thought they'd completely healed. It just blew back up like a bit of a bad nightmare, really. Then I pulled a hamstring in my right leg, my right hamstring. So what's that? The back of your quad, your hamstrings. So I had to run 6 more marathons with a pulled hamstring. And then right on the final half a mile, some of you may have heard me say this. I was running on Dartmoor. It was a pouring rain. It was the middle of that storm that we had. And I put my foot down in horse manure. It was Dartmoor, right? And instinctively, like when you put your foot in dog muck, I yanked my foot up and I tore my calf muscle. So I ran 199.5 miles in 5 days, and then had to run the last half mile with a torn calf muscle. So by that time, I was just running through the pain. There wasn't really much else I could do, was there? But thank you everyone that supported the videos. I put a few videos on the channel. Thank you everyone who's watched them. Yeah, if you've got any question, friends, just chuck them in the chat. Put them in capitals so that I can see them when I flick through. Ask me about anything you want. Tony, thank you. Proud of you too, mate. Thank you. So yeah, channel is just on the up. We're growing subs. Got massive plans for this year. Ben, our new producer's come on board. He's just a guy that really knows his stuff, you know. As you've probably seen some of the montages that have come on the latest podcasts, they're really it's like having a Hollywood producer working for you, right? So I've done really well there. Especially as I had Marty, who came, who was the last producer, and he was a absolute genius as well. And these guys have helped me take it to the next level. So this year we're going big. The Bought the T-Shirt podcast is a great podcast. We just get such quality guests from such in-depth backgrounds. Today I was chatting to a guy, Daz Hardy, who pretty much all but ran 10 Ironmen in 10 days. And yeah, just had a great chat today. And like, when do you meet these people in normal life? Do you know what I'm saying? And I get to chat to them almost on a daily basis, some days, and the lessons that they can teach us are amazing. The lessons in resilience, mental health, goal setting, goal achieving, goal smashing, and life in general, right? And it's a bit of a minefield at times, isn't it? Heinzie, thank you ever so much, my friend. That's really kind of you for the donation. Thank you. I really appreciate it. What are my thoughts on... I don't know if saying these two words are going to get me banned on YouTube. Boom. Ash Lee Babbitt. Mate, I don't watch mainstream media and that. Should I know who that is? Sounds a bit like the girl who said she tried out for the SAS, doesn't it? You'll have to explain who that is. But yeah, just to say massive thank you to all. You're absolute legends. I really appreciate. I get that. Mate, I'm not joking. I don't watch mainstream media. I gave up on that long time ago. I think you'll probably know why. I don't know. I mean, none of it's true, as in, like, they don't care about you and me, right? Then you got to try and pick out the bits that maybe are true and maybe are not. Why is this bit in news being put in front of you? It's all for the agenda, it's all for their agenda, isn't it? It's not about what's best for us. Thank you, Heinzie. Really kind of you. Yeah. I'm not sure what to say other than, like I say, it's a minefield trying to work out the truth of what's going on there anyway, isn't it? I mean, this guy that's been voted in, like, really? It's almost like they picked the worst human being in the world and he's there now, and that didn't seem very genuine, did it? Yeah, so no, I don't have anything to say on that, only because I know nothing about it, and I wouldn't want to go upsetting people. But yeah, not good, is it? Definitely don't want to get shot. You don't want to get shot dead. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit lost for words because I don't really want to go down that road. Otherwise, it's just another stream that's gone a bit sort of like, are we going to get the channel demonetized, that kind of thing. But yeah, anyway, my best advice to anyone: don't watch mainstream media. Don't do it. Don't think, I'll watch a bit because like a little bit's true. It's none of it's true. It's not for you and I. Leave that for the people that they want to believe it. It just makes life hard for the rest of us that live in the real world, doesn't it? Yeah, all agenda, folks. It's all agenda, and it ain't our agenda, is it? It's that simple. So, shall we get on and watch a bit of this film? Obviously, for the old copy right stuff. I don't even want to say that word together because we'll get flagged. But Yeah, of course, Boom. It is. You know, you kind of got to find a way with the whole media thing, whether it's online or whatever, haven't you? Because there's agendas within agendas within agendas, and there's just people that are a bit crap at it and just tell you how they see it, and then of course it all seems really real, doesn't it? Someone goes, well, blah 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 blah, and you're like, wow, really? And then of course, yeah. But yeah, this film, I'm not going to play too much of it, obviously, so it doesn't get flagged. Last time we did this, that they froze the live stream for us, right? We got frozen. But I'll just maybe show a few screenshots. But it's called Mosul, and it came to my attention because one of my friends, you might know him, Emil Gessen, former Royal Marines Colour Sergeant, I believe, Afghanistan veteran, is now a war correspondent. And I saw him mention it in one of his, I think it was one of his Instagram posts. And he said, like, if you wanted to see what I saw in Iraq, watch this film. It's like the most realistic. And when I started watching, you know, when you get that personal recommendation, you kind of always know something's going to be a bit good. And yeah, it's quite a full-on film. How realistic it is, how they filmed it. Is this actually Mosul in Iraq? Because if it is, it's smashed to pieces, right? And again, yeah, there's a few agendas going on there, isn't there, as to what's going on, or what's gone on in the Middle East for the last 20 years and why. You can guarantee a few, well, not a few, many people have got incredibly rich off the back of all that death, mutilation and destruction, right? Beautiful country, just leveled, or the cities leveled. But yeah, so I watched this film and it was a good old film. So let's just go to a bit of it. Bam, bam, bam. I won't say where I got my copy, by the way, because I haven't got Netflix. I don't really think I want to after that, you know, that incident, shall we say, or that film that they put up the other month. Can't remember the name. Was it Cuties or something? Freaking hell. Talk about shoving an agenda in your face. So there we go. If we get any sound problem, folks, just let me know. So yeah, this is the start of the film. I'm guessing this is Mosul. Just gonna look on. Is it I always get it wrong. IMDb, isn't it? The database, the movie database. So the storyline between 2014 and 2017, the ISIS people occupied the Iraqi city of Mosul. Basically, the only group to consistently fight them during this period were these ninja police officers. Basically, the SWAT unit, right? Says here it's from Nineveh province. Basically, the SWAT unit's made up of these local men who are all incredibly damaged by this war. So they've all lost people that are close to them, and they all absolutely hate the enemy, right? In fact, to get into this SWAT team, you have to have somebody in your family that's been killed by them, right? So you've got to hate ISIS, basically, or you've got to have a reason to really want to fight to the death. And it's yeah, quite powerful stuff. Let's just have a little look through it, shall we? Again, just excuse me guys stopping it all the time. It's just like I said last time, they froze our live stream and I was just sat here talking to myself. The audience was still there, but they couldn't see anything and I couldn't speak to them. I think the feed kept going. So yeah, look at it. Doesn't look good, does it? So yeah, they've had their campaign of terror. And they're kind of running the show there in Mosul, right? And the film starts with this scene, and it's two local police officers. I might have this a bit wrong, but it's thereabouts, right? And the two local police officers, I think, are fighting off ISIS. Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. It's all pretty full on. And then lo and behold, let's have a look. Lo and behold, this crack unit turns up and kind of saves the day for them, right? And it's led by this dude here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. He was a really good actor. I think I've seen him in something else. There he is. What's his name? Let's have a look, shall we? Yassim, he's called, or Yassam. Sulhai Dabak. Suhail Dabak. I think that's his name. Anyway, not that important, but... So these guys come to the rescue and then they announce we're the SWAT team, right? And we ate these fuckers. And out of these two guys that have just had the living daylight smashed out of them, it kind of asks them, like, have you lost anyone in your family to the ISIS, right? And the young lad goes yes, and the older guy goes no, and they go, right, you put this gun belt on, here's your weapon, you're now a member of the SWAT team. And then they embark on this obviously they check these guys out thoroughly, and then they just embark on this mad mission across the city where they're trying to get to a flat. And I don't know if it's that I wasn't paying attention and reading the subtitles properly, but you don't really know why they're trying to do this. There's the young lad there. They're giving him his uniform. And off they go. And it then entails... And that bit there was really sad. I don't know if you guys clock this that have seen it, but life is still going on in this chaos, in this destruction, in this death and warfare. And you know, the old man there, he's still got to go about his business in his smashed up house, right? Was it the Hurt Locker? Nice one, Spud. Yeah, good drills. So, yeah, they embark on this mad mission across town, and they're taking out all these players as they go. And they just kind of ensconce or encamp wherever they are, and, you know, eat and drink whatever they can scavenge. And yeah, they're all just hard as hell. You know, real scrappers, you know, like you would be if you'd seen a war from the beginning to the end. And yeah, and obviously it's full of its unpleasantness. The acting is superb. It's funny, this bit here, if any of you seen the podcast I did with Gary Curtis protects journalists in these war zones, doesn't he? Gary's actually got this, it was almost like I thought it was the same place. He's got footage of these guys fighting on the rooftop and shooting through these holes that they've knocked in the wall or that have been shot in a wall, right? So yes, you can see to the guys that have worked over there, this film really does sort of capture it. Craig's asked a question there about the company Capita taking over the training. Yeah, I'll come on to that, Craig. There he is. There's our protagonist, the young lad. And it's kind of a... what do you say? It's like in at the deep end for this young lad, isn't it? It's a proving ground. He's got to get straight into the fighting, and these guys are already all quite ninja. And yeah, I'm sorry I can't really play more of it, but I think it is on Netflix, right? But they end up in one massive firefight in this compound. Or if it's not this compound, it's another one. And then finally they get to this flat and the guy starts fumbling for the key. And you're like, huh? And they make a big deal out of it. Like, can you get it in the lock? Are you know, do you know what you're doing? He's like, yeah, I've got it. Then you realise it's his flat. It's this police officer's flat. And when they get in there, they find out that the enemy have taken this guy's family hostage. And they've been living there, right? And I think whatever's going to happen to women and children in warfare is never going to be pleasant, is it? So carries quite a lot of weight, the ending of this film. Yeah, and there we go. Just play a little bit somewhere. Let's play this bit.
Come on. سميها ستاك، اثنين يطهرون غرفة واثنين يوفرون
والثاني محامي. منو المرة اللي بنص هن؟ هاي
I don't know if you can hear that. It's probably better if you can't because we won't get pulled. Well, there you go. Hang on, let's get me back on. Yes, Clint, based on a true story, which makes it all the more powerful, doesn't it? So yeah, that's a recommendation for you. A little bit more of a sort of in-depth film, can we say, as opposed to the Hollywood-like hype. Yeah, Boom's pointing out a good point. In these kind of conflicts, you don't know who's who, do you? It's like it goes back to Vietnam, where the Viet Cong, you know, if you're dressed in black pajamas and a straw hat, you can be anyone, can't you? One minute you can have an AK, next minute you can be hoeing the rice paddy. Must have been incredibly frustrating for the GIs over there, knowing that these people can be shooting at you one minute and then hide their weapon and pick up a fork, and there's, you know, under the Geneva Convention or whatever, there's nothing you can do. You can see why things start to go awry, can't you, and turn a bit nasty. What's that film on YouTube? Spud says called Taking Fire, filmed by the soldiers themselves. yeah, that kind of came back to bite them on the ass, didn't it? Do you remember the Sergeant Blackman thing, wasn't it? The Royal Marine that was arrested for executing the Taliban guy in Afghanistan, the mortally wounded guy. And of course, it was captured on a head cam, and I think it came around that the police or the SIB, this is it security SIB. Anyway, it's like the military form of detectives, right? I heard that they arrested this guy on completely separate charges, and then they looked at his laptop and found this film that related to the incident in Afghanistan. So, yeah, you got to be careful what you film, because it's quite funny. I've just done a clip with my producer Ben about Blair Main, Paddy Main as he's more commonly referred to. Probably, I think, fair to say the second most well-known name in the SAS, one of the founding fathers of the SAS, as it were. I've got his memoir up here somewhere. The guy was a freaking legend. I mean, he was just a fighter through and through. He was a fairly placid, quiet Irish solicitor that played a bit of rugby. And it's kind of one of these guys, you know, light the fuse during wartime, and off he goes, and or put some drink inside him, right? But there was a famous, I don't think that's the right word, is it? But there was a renowned incident where they were at an airfield in North Africa. Paddy Main burst through the door of the officers' mess of the Luftwaffe. There were 30 pilots inside, or 30 crew, and Paddy Main shot them all dead, right? Or at least shot all of them. And yeah, it causes dissension in the public psyche, this kind of thing, because on the one hand it just sounds like the guy's an absolute psychopath, right? You could be forgiven for thinking that, right? I mean, they're unarmed, they're all drinking, eating their dinner or whatever. But then, of course, the other side of the coin is this is a small military detachment. They're thousands of miles, well, North Africa, isn't it? So they're certainly a few thousand of miles away from Blighty. They're behind enemy lines. They've got a jeep to get them away. These guys have got aircraft, right? And like, do you want them chasing you through the desert in their Messerschmitts or whatever it is? You don't really, do you? Because it means you and your men are going to be killed. So then there's that side of the story. So Ben and I have just done a clip about that. We'll put that up soon. And I was talking to Damien Lewis, the famous SAS Second World War author, who's been on the podcast a couple of times. And I was chatting to him about it, so we've taken that clip. We're gonna put it up. Thanks, one man. Special Investigation Branch, yeah. SIB. It's a bit like the CID for the military police, isn't it? You can get Mosul on YouTube, apparently. Thanks, Spud. Yeah, the opening to Saving Private Ryan. One of the best, or the most graphic openings to a war film, isn't it? Interestingly, I think they did one of these science programs, did an investigation to see if bullets can actually kill people underwater. Like in Private Ryan, these bullets were pew. Is that the sound effect of a bullet underwater? Pew. But they were, you know, in Saving Private Ryan, the bullets are going underwater and then they're traveling like 6 or 7 feet and shooting people in the water, right? But they did an investigation into it, and the bullet starts tumbling the second it hits the water, and within sort of 12 inches, it's generally lost all its power. Yeah, Kajaki, that's been mentioned a couple of times in the thread. yet again, what an absolutely riveting film, isn't it? I think they're paras, aren't they? And they get they're up there by the Kajaki Dam, and they end up wandering into a minefield or patrolling into a minefield, and then one by one they're all getting their legs blown off, and as them oppos try and come to help them, they're then treading on mines, and it was just yeah, absolute carnage. Yeah, so we got a Rambo mention here, haven't we? Nice one, Tony. Keep up the good work, trooper. Good man. Yeah, there's Blake saying that like the Rambo movies when the grenades are all like nuclear bombs. I took the liberty of watching First Blood over Christmas, or when my run finished anyway. I can watch that film so many times. I think it's one of my favourite films of all time. There's so much interesting history around First Blood. So First Blood being the first Rambo movie. In fact, they changed. There was 3 different endings to it. The way it ends in the book, and I listened to the book, listened to it on audio the other day. It ends completely differently to the way it does. It doesn't end very nicely in the book. Not that it ends particularly well in the film, but they had 3 different endings in the film, and they couldn't get it right because they weren't able to judge whether, like, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in it, right? They weren't ready to deal with, like, PTSD. What is PTSD? They weren't, you know, they didn't know if the public would accept a film where a veteran goes mad and shoots up the town, but he's kind of like, you know, the one you're rooting for. Is it wrong that I root for Rambo in First Blood? Yes. That king shit cop. Let me just have a look up. There are some good old films, aren't there? Luke's there with Bridge Too Far, The Longest Day. A Bridge Too Far, that was Pegasus Bridge, wasn't it? As opposed to Bridge Over the River Kwai, which was the prisoners on the Thai-Burmese border. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, we were talking about the private company taking over the running of the Marines training, isn't it? Something's been in the. It's all going that way, folks, isn't it? It's all going to be corporatized. You know, it's not going to be long now. Wherefore, the only shop is Amazon, right? You know, I'm always saying it. If you want to find out why, or an interesting take, it's read that, isn't it? You know, it's all in there. Everything that's happening. It's probably heard me say this before, but somebody told me George Orwell was part of the Fabian Society, and when he left, because I think he rebelled against it, he wrote that book to tell everyone what, you know, what the plan was, so to speak. But regardless, it's still amazing that, you know, Big Brother has got us, hasn't he? Bum, bum, bum. 71, yeah, I think I've seen that one. 71, the one that's set in Belfast or Londonderry. Yeah, just going up through the comments here, folks. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, this privatization, it's just the way it's going to go, isn't it? It's the same as that they replaced the military guards on camps with private security, wasn't it? That was a money saving issue. it's just the way. I mean, who owns the bombs, the bullets, and the gun? Who supplies it? It's private companies, isn't it? It's all privateering. It's all war profiteering, really, if you think about it. You know, we got an NHS which is falling apart at the seams now. Quite clever the way that they blame it on a. Do you see how it works? You know, they've robbed the NHS dry. They've put it all into these middle managers. They've got all these contracts which must be astronomical that us, the taxpayer, pay. And then when it all starts falling apart, then they blame it on something else that then they can then use to furthermore oppress the people. You know, if people really cared, they'd be looking at those rockets and mortars and bombs and stuff and guided missiles that have been used over the last 20 years. Some of them must be what, £300,000 each, those missiles, if not more. They'll drop X amount of them on a compound just because some corporals radioed it. You know, no one questions today, where does that money go? Who gets that 300,000? Because it ain't you and me, is it? And it's not. Yes. Right, I'm going to go back to the back to the other end of the thread. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I saw the Sean Bean one about the Bravo 20, wasn't it? The alky in me, I remember the bit where they're all drinking a bottle of whiskey before going on the patrol, or at least it was the day before. I always thought that's quite funny because, funny enough, in all my time in the Marines, all my time, my 7 years, right? You didn't actually see many people drinking outside of like when you're on the piss. So there's that classic picture when they put the flag back up, the Union Jack in the Falklands, isn't it? And they're all sharing a bottle of whiskey. Yeah, just prick my eyes up. I don't know if you can say that, but I've just said it. Prick my eyes up seeing that Sean Bean film when they're all sharing a bottle of whiskey. Yes. Yeah, it's funny. Sound effects in movies. My all-time favourite athlete is Travis Pastrana. I'm sure many of you know. I absolutely love his attitude towards stunts and bike riding and base jumping and all that kind of stuff. And there's a video of him on YouTube and he's criticising motorbike films. You know, when they like react to motorbike films. And he's saying a number of times they're going wham 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 wham, and he says the bike's a 4-stroke, but the sound effect is a 2-stroke, or the guy's going he says it's not even, they haven't even coordinated the sound with him twisting the throttle. 12 Strong. I'm not sure. I think I've seen that. I do tend to end up watching most films. 13 Hours. Yeah. 13 Hours, Spud. Was that the one about the embassy? When the Benghazi embassy got overrun and what's the name, wasn't it? Clinton like let it happen and then was laughing about it afterwards. I think that was that film. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were private security or something, weren't they? And the American government just denied their existence, sort of thing. Yeah, that was pretty sad, wasn't it? Full Metal Jacket, Jojo Cow points out, was filmed in London. Filmed in the Docklands, wasn't it? In some old like warehouses that were going to be pulled down, and they just said to the producer, yeah, you can blow them up. And they put a few palm trees around and it looked just like French colonial Vietnam. Okay. Was it Roses says in money spent on missiles and defence is money well spent. You go for it, Roses. Screw education and healthcare and actually teaching people not to go to war in the first place. Yeah, Sharp was good, wasn't it? It's really dated now. I bet if you watch Sharp on YouTube, it's the old square, like video dimensions. Do you know what I mean? Yes, Travis is a top guy. He's done a lot of work recently. He's done some work recently on brain damage, you know, because these guys are getting concussed on a monthly, if not weekly basis. These dirt bike riders, right? The ones, you know, you see them doing the stunts off the jumps, like all the Red Bull and the X Games sort of stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of there's a theory that if you get concussed while you're still concussed from the last time, it's exponential. The brain damage is exponential. The para in the iconic film clip taking a drink in the Falklands took his own life. Yep. It's another reason we shouldn't go to war, isn't it? Because they don't tell you more people kill themselves after the war than die in the war, right? That I think we're slowly, some people are starting to realise that now. It just can't be nice, can it? It can't be nice to have to kill someone. I mean, when you're young, you probably don't. I mean, when I was young, I didn't think about that. I just thought, this is my job. That's what I'm gonna do if I have to do it, right? But the mental toll that you then have got on you for the rest of your life, you know, it's fine if you know you're 100% justified, but yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, the embassy film. Yeah, got it. I don't think I was sober for any BFT. I don't think you're supposed to be one, man, are you? So BFT, for anyone that's not aware, is your battle fitness test. Spud, how often did we have to do that? Was it once yearly? Was it 6 monthly? We used to have to do. You used to do 6 pull-ups. Then you'd run out as a squad for 1.5 miles wearing boots. Get back, and then they go, and then you ran it on your own. And the racing snakes would do it in like 6.5 minutes or something ridiculous. And all the fastest ones were all the smokers, which again was just, where's the sense in that, you know? Yes. I was never particularly fast at it, no surprise. Yeah, Fury, Chris, that was a good one. That was the Brad Pitt tank one, wasn't it? Where at the end it does leave you guessing. Goggins, yeah. There's a funny thing going around about Goggins at the moment. I think I saw it on Facebook. Someone's like, fuck you, Goggins. My son's been watching your shit and now he won't leave his bedroom. He's always doing pull-ups. The other day I caught him staring at the bread. When I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm making toast. By staring at the bread, right? He said, when the bread didn't turn into toast, my son went back to his room and did some more pull-ups. He's saying to himself, who else is going to carry the boat? Right? He said, I wouldn't mind, but my son's 6 years old. Yes. Tropic Thunder. I think that pushes the limit you know, of what you should really be showing on a movie screen. Yeah, pretty gritty stuff, really. Actually, it was, wasn't it? They all got blown up in the first scene in Vietnam. Space Force. That does sound like something an American president would come up with, doesn't it? What's the most realistic war film? This is from Chris. Oh, it's a little part of the reason I like First Blood. I'm not saying that, you know, veterans go and shoot up the town or whatever, although probably minor incidents have happened in that respect. But I like the way that it really does capture that, like, us and civilian mentality that you can have, and the frustration you feel at not being understood. Like when people came back from the Falklands and they're walking through, you know, they got off their ship and they're walking through Portsmouth, and they said there's people just sat on the grass eating ice creams, and this veteran said he just wanted to go up and shake them and, like, what are you doing? Like, we've just been in a war, you know, hundreds of people have been killed, and you're sat here eating an ice cream. You get it. You get what I'm trying to say, right? War film. The Ungentlemanly Act. The story of the 8901 naval party. Down there in the Falklands. I guess it's fairly realistic, although there's massive conjecture on how many people were actually killed by the naval party. Ricky Phillips, been on the podcast, hasn't he? He wrote the book about the 8901 naval party. He gets an awful lot of flack. Our podcast got attacked by the Argentinians, and it was a bit sad, really. I mean, they must have been children, a lot of them. They're going on about their granddad that was killed in the war, their uncle or whatever. And it's like our podcast wasn't even about the war. 8901 party, that wasn't in the war. That was when the Argentines first landed, right? And these 60 Marines had to try and fight them off, right? It wasn't the actual war itself, right? War hadn't been declared at that stage. So all these people that rip Ricky's podcast to bits obviously hadn't even watched the podcast. So So yeah, that's not a bad film to watch. What else, war film wise? The submarine ones, they're pretty good, aren't they? Das Boot, that's worth a watch. That's told from the perspective of the Germans. Quite mad. Basically, these guys just get freaking rat ass drunk when they're not down on their ship, and everyone gets drunk and they're all mad, pulling their guns out and pistols and doing crazy stuff. Well worth a watch. It's funny, isn't it? Because I'm obviously anti-war. Well, I think everybody should be, right? But it's still a fascinating arena. The books, you know, you read a book. I've got several books on the Falklands. It's just, it's not the war, because I think that's a load of horse shit, right? That's the sociopaths playing their games. But it's the hero. Hero's not the right word. It's the story of the person, the individual. You know, some of the stories that came out of the Falklands are beyond belief, you know. Some of the effect that it had on guys, big, you know, hard men that I know, that are now, you know, they're 10 years older than me, so they're in their 60. They're just starting to go through therapy for the PTSD they had when they were 19. you know, marching up a hill in the Falklands with a determined enemy, firing machine guns down and chucking grenades, you know, upon them. There was a lot of the, you know, all the rules of firefight, you know, get down, get into cover, rapid fire, keep the enemy's head down, pepper pot. They said all that shit went out the window. They said they just like legged it up this mountain. You know, it was every man for himself, but obviously, you know, protecting themselves as they went along it when they could. It says just, well, they say, don't they, in the Marines, a famous expression, I think it's probably throughout the military, is no plan survives first contact. And yes, Stalingrad, yeah, is Stalingrad the sniper one? What's the one with a sniper? The two snipers end up facing off to each other. Was that Stalingrad? Whatever that film was, that was a good. Is good the right word? But you know what I'm saying. Hello, Quadrex. How are you, brother? Massive Merry Christmas, mate, and Happy New Year. All a bit delayed. Oh, Enemy at the Gates, wasn't it? Yeah, that was it. Enemy at the Gates. Yeah, 8901. The full story wasn't really told. That's the naval part in the Falklands. It was kind of hushed up. There was politics involved. They weren't allowed to tell their story. Yeah, I had a friend in the army, and he was on exercise in Canada, and he was driving along, and he saw obviously there's moose or elk in Canada. I don't know if it was one of those, but he said he saw a big thing like that, and he just stopped his Jeep, took his rifle out and shot it. I'm not saying that, I'm not laughing, I'm just saying that, who is it there's asked me if, yeah, Boom's mentioned that in the Falklands they use sheep for target practice. There were stories of where they thought the enemy were coming towards their position, and they let rip with a machine gun, and in the morning there's a field full of dead cows. God, listen, I think everyone's watched Enemy at the Gate. Is it Enemy at the Gate or Enemy at the Gates? Yes, Sunray, that's friend of mine starring in the film Sunray. Apparently it's all the actors are former Royal Marines, is that right? I've seen some of the promotion material, and it's very good, isn't it? Yeah, there's a lot more to PTSD than we realise, and it's not, you know, your time in the military is just a part of that PTSD story. I fear. The Falklands has 3 million sheep, so they can spare a few. You tell that to the sheep, Jojo. So there was a famous story. I think it's in the book, The Making of a Royal Marines Commando, which is down there. It's too far for me to grab it, but on the survival exercise, on one of the survival exercises, one of the lads was a butcher, and something like in the morning they had an upset farmer approach the training team and say, one of my sheep is missing and his fleece is over there, and the lads had eaten it. But I mean, that's survival, isn't it? I think there's certain situations where they train the special forces and the mountain leaders where it's almost like expected this stuff's going to happen, and the training teams, they got like wads of cash where they go paying off the locals, say, oh, you lost a cow, there you go, sorry about that. Oh, you had your garden shed raided, yeah, call it 100, yeah. Someone slept in your dog kennel, sorry. Yes, what do we hear? Dunkirk, 1917. Yeah, apparently, the reason the the RAF, sorry, the Spitfire pilots got shit at Dunkirk wasn't because they weren't there and like they'd abandoned the lads, so to speak. Apparently it's that the dogfights were too high, or they were at such altitude that these men on the beaches wouldn't have been able to hear them, right? That's what I heard quite recently. I don't know if anybody knows anything about that. Upton's is saying his grandfather had PTSD from World War One, drank himself to death. Yeah, I mean, drink's been the only sort of medicine up till quite recently, isn't it? You know, I'm not saying it's a good medicine, but it's what service personnel do. They drink, and they drink a lot. And they drink in, a bit like in Britain, we drink in all circumstances, don't we? We drink when we're happy, we drink when we're sad, we drink when we're neither. Very dangerous illness, you know. Where are we here? Thanks, Quadrex. How am I feeling after the 200-mile run? Thanks, Quadrex. Yeah, I'm all right, mate, but it did take a bit out of me, you know. It was hard. And for me to say it was hard, and I normally, you know me, I'm normally like, nah, just go and do it. You know. This one was really hard. For some reason, running around the track was just much harder running than the first 100 miles I ran around the running track. Then when they shut for Christmas, then I just ran out onto Dartmoor, right? And even just running along, you know, like away from my house or whatever, is so much easier than just running around a track, it was just doing me in. I was just picking up injury after another. But yeah, we got there in the end. 4 days and 22 hours, I think it took, which surprised me. I honestly didn't think it would take that long to run 200 miles. Guess I underestimated it, really. Maybe I should have done a bit more fitness, but oh well. Thanks, mate. So, SLR versus the L8 5A3. I'm guessing, Rosas, that's like the latest version of the SA-80. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, very different weapons, and obviously weapons being different is fine because weapons do different jobs, right? You know, a pistol isn't going to do the same job as a musket, right? Even in the same period of history. The trouble is with this arrangement is they're both infantry weapons, aren't they? They've both been issued to the infantry. So you've got two very different weapons being told it's for the same job. So immediately, and there's lots of different connotations of what could be good, what could be bad. For example, would you want to carry 500 rounds of 5.56 in your backpack, in your Bergen? Or would you want to carry 500 rounds of 7.62? From a physical perspective, obviously 5.56 is like a third less weight, right? Thereabouts. So logistically, you can pack it smaller, you can carry more, you can send it further, quicker, blah, blah, blah. Not so much to carry. On the other hand, as we all know, the stopping power of 5.56 can sometimes be non-existent against an enemy who's all adrenalined up and he's coming towards you. I think this is what they were finding out in Afghanistan, weren't they? When, you know, people have been smoking a bit of this, that or the other and they're feeling a bit invincible, they could ping them with a 5.56 and they just keep coming. So if you speak to somebody like my friend Dave Radband, former Special Forces support group, former para-reg, he'll stick with his 7.62, right? But they didn't have the SLR. They had this shorter barrel version, and I tell you what, it looked hell of a weapon. Then you've got a lot of other factors, Rosas, you know. For example, if you're in close quarter combat, so in a building, you want the SA-80, right? Because you can turn around quicker with it. You know, it's shorter. Then, of course, the SA-80 compared to what it is now is two different weapons. When I had it, it was teething problems. There were literally bits they designed to stick onto it to fix this problem, like the cocking handle, right? Kept getting knocked off. So they glued on this little housing to stop you nudging it. Then, of course, you can only use it right-handed. So if you're left-handed or you use your other eye or whatever it is, it's, you know, there's an issue there, isn't it? So I don't really buy into this, like this is better and that. They're two different weapons. Which one should the regular army and our infantry and our Marines and have? Yeah, I think they're leaning towards 7.62 again, aren't they? I've fired both. I've been issued both. You know, I've had on board ship. My personal weapons were an SLR, so 7.62, and 9mm pistol. In my unit, I was or in my units, I was obviously the SA-80. The SLR is just a delightful weapon to fire at distance. So we're talking 300 meters. When you grew up with the SA-80, you were trained on the SA-80. Because if you look at me now, if I was the target in wind with the SA-80, you're firing here, right? You're firing up to one target off. Sometimes you fire 2.5 targets away. So not just there, but there. You're firing over there to get the wind to bring the target on shot. Whereas with the SLR, that shot would be, you'd be firing like maybe just off the target, right? A much heavier shell, a much heavier slug, and the wind doesn't affect it so much. So when you, even with the iron sights, this is another thing again, SLR iron sights, SA-80 optical sights, right? And it was a good optical sight. Unless of course it's in the night time, then you can't really use it. You got a little iron sight on top of it, obviously. But even with the iron sight on the SLR, you could knock targets down at 300 meters fairly easily, and it's nice when you struggle to hit them with an SA-80 and you move to this elephant gun and it's yeah, that's what target shooting's all about, isn't it? So yeah, so it's not a it shouldn't be an argument. They're just different weapons. The argument should be what should we be issues? What you know, what's best? I say a flower. The day we all get issued flowers to give to the enemy, that'll be a great leap forward. There's Damien there. Happy New Year to you, brother. I look vibrant. It's this new blusher I've got. I think it's... I can't even think of the name of a makeup company. I was going to say Laura Ashley, but that's not right, is it? What's the one that goes door to door? Avon. Yeah, Avon. Namaste to Annie and Simon. 2 new fans thrown your way. Namaste. Thank you. The RAF battles at Dunkirk were very far away from sight. Yeah, I can see that. How young all the soldiers were, you know. I'm just going to check you guys can still hear me. So, yeah, I was talking to my boy today, and he likes watching some of this stuff on YouTube. And it's not good, folks, you know. You got like 25-year-old American kids, you know, and they just go to the store, buy a frickload of junk, like plastic crap, you know, fucking inflatable raft, barbecue, some fucking camp, and they just go out into nature, trash the whole lot, right? And then where's it going? It's going into a landfill, right? I'm trying to explain this to my son that this is not good entertainment. This is like the worst form of humanity, is young people now can make money on YouTube by basically destroying the planet, and no one says shit, you know? No one, people have lost the ability to even think, oh, that's probably not good, right? It's a shit state, right? And my point with these young men here, like they're 25 and 28 years old, and they're running around with Nerf guns, right? And bouncing on trampolines. When I was 19, so not much older than a child, I was a teenager, I was on active service with an automatic weapon on the streets of Belfast, right? And obviously we've got our youngsters have been in the Middle East for the last 20 years. Not sure how we got. I'm not sure what the question was that got us on. Yeah, amazing how young the pilot. Yeah, I mean, military are pretty young anyway, aren't they? Yeah, it's funny. I'm not saying that everyone should go off to war and, you know, that's how you be a man or whatever. I'm just saying that when you see people with their pants around their freaking ass, it's like, fucking grow up a bit, isn't it? Because you've got to remember, there is a war on, folks, you know, whether you like to admit it or not, there is a war on. And it's against these fuckers, isn't it? You know, you either know what I'm talking about or you don't. There is a war, and you ain't going to fight this lot if you think it's clever to wear your pants around your freaking halfway down your ass, you know? In fact, they're probably ones that control that. Dun, dun, dun. There we are. Got Quadrex on the One Life team. Well done, mate. I know you were before, and needs must and all that, but I really appreciate that, brother. Bum, bum, bum. Oh yeah, 7.62 would stop a wild boar. I would question whether a 5.56 would. It depends where you hit it, obviously. Yeah, Chris has got it. We're ruled by narcissists and sociopaths. Of course we are. Just care about themselves, don't they? They're sick. They grow up sick. They grow up in such riches, they don't know how to be normal. So their way to like prove themselves as men is power, right? And why get these oil, like the Bush family? They've got everything. They got more money than they can ever spend in like 100 lifetimes. But they're sick, aren't they? They get twisted, and they develop this extreme form of personality where massacring thousands of people means nothing to them. But having their shares go up, that makes them a good person. So, yes, I'm glad you see it, mate. Well done. Hiya, Jan. Hooked on my podcasts. Could be worse things to be hooked on, eh? Served all over with a Remy. Is that... Forgive my ignorance, I'm not like massively up on military, believe it or not. I don't even know all the marine stuff, but Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, or have I got that wrong? Remy. Someone's going to remind me. Apologies, Jan, I'm getting a bit old now. Armoured Infantry, wow. That's a different thing again, isn't it? Being in a tank going across the plains of Europe, Well, my teacher at school was in the Second World War. He's an RAF fighter pilot, or he was in the RAF, and so I would have been about 6 or 7 at the time. So, and he was quite an old guy as it was. But he said he joined the RAF because he thought if death's going to come, it's going to be quite quick. As opposed to, like, you know, getting bayoneted on the battlefield sort of thing. But then can you imagine those young men? I say young men because obviously it was young men in the Second World War. They went up in those bombers knowing that the night before 3 of the bombers just didn't come back. You're up there, you're getting shot at by fighters, shot at by, you know, all manner of, you know, flak. It's really real, isn't it? We can't. You think the sacrifice these people made, and now we're giving it all. We're giving it all away, aren't we? You know, we're giving it all away. Dun, dun, dun. There's Hayley. Hiya, Hayley. Thanks for all your support lately, Hayley. You've been absolutely brilliant. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Dun, dun, dun. You're an army combat medic. Was that was right, wasn't it? Quadrex, been watching documentaries about North and South Korea with your girlfriend, and the similarities in our world are quite evident. On a nicer note, I've been in North Korea and South Korea. You might have heard me tell that story. I ended up in North Korea one day, as you do. Gritch is saying, great comment on the pants. I'm not knocking young people. It's I'm just highlighting this, the disparity, the differences, you know, we ain't, yeah. I've said enough, haven't I? Yeah, well done, Miles. You've got it. Dun, dun, dun. Hayley was an army combat medic. I mean, gosh. Unsung heroes, aren't they, really? The stuff you have to see doing that job must be a bit like the chopper pilots doing the Kazovacs. Do you know what I'm saying? 40,000 men died, Miles is saying, you know. Was that in the air war, yeah? It was that thousand, we all know it was thousands upon thousands, wasn't it, from both sides? Yeah, GTH, you see it. Well done. They're sick people, aren't they? You know? They're sick people. You know, those of us that know, we know what they did. You know, we know what they did 20 years ago. All those deaths. And then they go on business as usual. Ugh. Larry, you know, we all know, don't write in a comment, but you know, we all know who Larry is, don't we? Made 6 billion, was it 6 billion overnight? Pretty fucked, aren't we, as a race? A mechanic. Jan was a mechanic. Yes. Right, so thank you, Hayley. Okay, I hope you're out of hospital soon, hun. Think positive. It's all we've got, isn't it? Thank you, Chris. Right, guys, I'm out of here. I'm going to go and say goodnight to a certain young person before they're... we've been telling really sick stories today. Well, if you think farts are sick, we've had lots of fart stories. They've been brilliant. you never hear a 5-year-old laugh so much in your life. But that's it. Thank you massively for all your support of the channel, folks. Thanks for all your donations. Thanks for supporting me on my 200-mile run, but more importantly, supporting veterans' mental health. You are legends. Thank you for joining in the chat. As you can see, I find this fascinating. We've got a wealth of knowledge between us, haven't we? And yes. Got a last comment there about Biden. I'm glad I don't buy into any that. You're never going to get me to vote. What? Vote to be a slave? What? How does that work? How does that make you a hero? Voting for your own slavery? Never voted. Never. Obviously, won't ever will in this system. Can't fix the Titanic if you're on the Titanic, can you? Really? You know what I'm trying to say. Yes. Okay, so right, that's it. Brilliant. Should I play myself out? What should I play us out with? My usual outro. Much love, guys. Have fun. See you soon. Hello, friend. I hope this finds you well. My name's Chris THRALL. I'm a former Royal Marines Commando, and I fought my way back from chronic trauma and addiction to live, work and travel in 80 countries across all 7 continents, achieving all of my dreams and goals along the way. Now I pass my simple system on to other people, but I can only help you if you like and subscribe. So please do so, because you get one life, and if you live it right, one is enough. Hello, friend.